district as well for the committee assignments that Doug Erickson has. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about on the politics update today is a really interesting story that came out on December 22nd. The Growth Management Hearings Board was asked by Whatcom County for some additional time to finish up its review and revisions to its rural zoning. This is a very complicated issue, but if you go back, this sort of all stems from a case that started in 2005 when FutureWise challenged Whatcom County at the Growth Management Hearings Board, claiming that it was allowing sprawl in various areas throughout the county when the whole idea was you were supposed to be driving density into incorporated cities and into some of the sort of the already urbanized areas of county lands. So this case has been going on ever since. The last word that we had coming out of this was when the case had made it to the state Supreme Court, and they ordered that the county needed to do a review to make sure that they weren't allowing sprawl. The court also said that there can't be any kind of a bright line used to determine what sprawl is. And that's an interesting bit to keep in mind here. So fast forward then to this decision by the Growth Management Hearings Board a week ago Wednesday. They granted the county the extension that they asked for. They're going to get until essentially the end of March to finish up this review and revisions for its rural zoning. But this is the interesting part about this, and I don't know if this was because they were upset at the county for not having completed this review in the time frame that they had thought was appropriate or what. And I'm anxious now that I'm back from vacation on Monday to call around and get some thoughts on this from some other folks. But they imposed invalidity on some portions of the plan, which the board said are allowing sprawl. Now, generally speaking, when the Growth Management Hearings Board looks at an issue, they will determine whether it is compliant or not with state law. Now, if they say that it's non-compliant, it doesn't mean that they sort of have vetoed that part of it. They say that it's not compliant and that you then have to go back and correct it. This is a much more egregious, sort of a serious declaration from them to say that it's invalid. It's basically saying what you have now is completely unacceptable, and so we're going to declare it invalid and force you to go back and fix it. And it's very interesting that this is not what the county had talked about. This is not even in some respects, because this is specifically dealing with LAMIRDs. This is not part of that original case from FutureWise, and yet the Growth Management Hearing Board has come out rather strongly with their declaration on this. Now, there's a lot of comments going back and forth about this, especially on the blogs that I saw this morning. There appears to me to be some difference of opinion on what the impact of this is going to be. You see some people very clearly saying that the county has sort of reached the end of its rope with the Growth Management Hearings Board. It has to make some significant changes to ensure that there's not sprawl in certain areas of the county, and this is like the final straw that they have to move forward with this. You see others who are saying, look, the Supreme Court said you can't draw a bright line. You can't, sort of have that clear definition of what sprawl is. The Growth Management Hearings Board has overreached here. It's only a quasi-judicial agency, and it lacks the power to make specific rulings according to the Supreme Court. So it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward here. This is, some people are saying that this is sort of the end of the war. I think this is just another battle in the war, and it appears to me that you're going to see a lot more litigation coming forward, especially given the makeup of this county council. They're not going to stand by idly and allow this Growth Management Hearings Board to try and dictate from Seattle and Olympia what sort of growth rules we ought to have in Whatcom County. That doesn't mean that we're not going to follow the law, but I think there's a real difference of opinion on what the law is telling the county it has to do and what it doesn't have to do. And we're going to really have to watch this over the next couple of months, because this is, I think, potentially going to be a real battleground in 2011 as we continue to see this push and pull going on between those who want the county to develop, those who want the county to remain rural, how they're going to try and come up with some sort of an agreement, a compromise here, or whether it's just going to be a constant battle throughout 2011 as it has been for the last several years. It probably is going to, in many respects, dictate what the policies are that are coming out of the county, how the county does its business over the course of this next year. All right, we're going to go to break. When we come back, we'll have your chamber update here on the Whatcom Report. I'm Ken Oplinger. We'll be back in a moment.